Hi everyone, here I am as promised, back for a second time today. This time we're going to just do clay, and I had promised someone by the name of Dee, a new friend of mine, that I would do this video for her. So what I'm going to be doing is called the Sutton Slice, and this is really an easy one for any beginner or anybody who's not a beginner even, and they want to do something a little bit easy. I'll show you what I'm going to start out with. You see this? I bought this as a hot plate. You could put it on the table and put hot things on it or whatever you want to do. Anyway, I bought it as a hot plate, but I'm going to use it for my Sutton Slice, for my clay. I'm going to fill in some of those areas that are recessed with clay, and then I'm going to lay another piece of clay on top of that and pull that off. So we will go through that together. But you can get this, let's see, I think I got it at Bed Bath & Beyond. I'm sure you can get them any place. It's silicone, so they're wonderful to work with as well. All right, let's get started. As you can see here, hopefully you can see, I have begun. And what I have started to do is roll some of the clay that I showed you this afternoon, or excuse me, this morning. And I'm going to use green and orange on the pattern. Let me just show you this one. I made this yesterday, and obviously it's purple and teal and black. Once I finished the pattern, then I impressed another floral pattern on top of it just to give it some texture. So everybody that commented seemed to like the colors, and I do too. But we're going to go with a different color. And the background color today will be the pearl. And if you're wondering about these different colors, the orange over here is the Femo Kids, the green is Femo Kids, and this pearl is Sculpey 3. I think I got that right. Okay, let's start doing it. The reason I went ahead and I filled in, I wanted you to see what it looked like as I'm starting to fill in some of these areas. Once I fill in an area, then I take a blade and scrape it off. So let's just start that. I'll do the green with you, and we'll see how it goes. And as you will notice on this particular video, this is very, very soft clay. I just want you to know that, very soft. And so it's kind of a sticky and kind of a good one to start out with. So that's where I want to have some clay. I'm going to make the centers a little different. Instead of having it all one color, I'm going to alternate the colors in the center. So I'll push those in, and I'm just going to stop a minute. I'm going to get my blade, and this is the flexible blade. And what I'm going to do is just begin to scrape that off and go in toward the center to hold your blade. You have more control that way. Don't go way out on the ends. You can feel it a little bit easier when you do that, when you go in on the center. So as you can see, hopefully, I'm just scraping that off. I'm just going to stick it to my work surface and go back and get some more. And you kind of are able to tell by now that it's going to show the V pattern there to you. All right. And then I'm going to go get the rest of this over here. I am trying not to scrape any of the orange as I go. That's the tricky part if you do it this way, but not too bad. Not too tricky. So hopefully you have something that you have already got at home. And then I kind of press it in. As you can see, there's no set pattern of how to do it. Just use your finger and push it in. And you're going to see some bits of clay maybe. I don't know if you can see that, but you're going to see some bits of clay just laying out here on the sides. And I'm going to clean that up when I'm done filling it in. But I thought this pad was really good for you to be able to watch, because it's such a bright red, and the colors are bright that I'm using. All right, let's continue on. And it takes a little bit of time, a little bit of patience. That's why I thought I would at least do a portion of it before I showed you. And I was going to pick up another mat that I have off to the side. I have filled in things as small as this and done the Sutton Slice. So, it's really up to you what you want to do. You can do anything, but this filled in with kind of a floral pattern. It was really pretty. All right, so we got that one done. I like to just kind of go one by one to clean them up, and we'll see what we can get here. I think it'll look pretty against, it could be pretty against black, but I think it'll be pretty against the pearl color as well. Hopefully you can see me. I'm just shaving a little bit as I go, and then push in a little bit. I want it to be full. I want the crevices to be full, but not over the top. Okay? And then I'm going to put just a little bit in the center here, a little bit over in the center here. Push that in. And let's see, we'll just continue down, put a little bit more down here. And if you find a different way to do this and to push it in that works better for you, let me know. But this is, as far as I know, this is the easiest way to do it. For me anyway. All right, again, take it toward the center and take off as much as you can. And then go to the next one. Take that off. Oh, that one was pretty good. It's always fun if they come out quite clean. Might have to hold on to the mat while you do it. Another way to do it that I've done before is I put clay here, 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 and here. So it sort of anchors the piece that I'm working on, but I knew I would want to maybe turn this and twist this, so I didn't want to do that today. But you can, and that works really effectively. All right, so again, push it down, push it down. Sometimes you have to go back and add a little bit more clay, but it looks like we're doing pretty well so far. And just think of all the colors that you can use when you do this. It's really up to you. I debated. I was going to use this really pretty pink, kind of a fuchsia pink, almost like the blouse that I have on, and orange. I like those two colors together very much. But then, if you've been watching my videos, you know that I am kind of enjoying green right now. Maybe because it's spring, I don't know. But it's also kind of a popular color right now. And I'll pop some in the middle there, and pop some in the middle there. Push it in, and we'll go back and clean it up. If you don't have a blade, I would encourage you to get one. Most people who clay have a blade. I'm not exactly sure. I'm trying to think of what you might want to use if you don't have a blade to pull the clay off. I suppose you could try to use a sharp knife, but I'm just thinking that might be awkward. And you know, these blades don't cost that much. You can get them at Michael's, Hobby Lobby, order them over the internet, off of Amazon, whatever. I have a tissue blade that is a little bit more sturdy. It bends a little bit, but it's more sturdy. And sometimes you can take that blade and just run it across like this. Oh, I'll even do it with that one. There you go. And it will take some of the clay off. And I've done that before as well. But I just was going to show you this technique. I'm sure many of you already know this technique and you've done several things with a Sutton slice, but I'll just pretend you haven't. So there is my pattern for right now anyway. Now as you can see, you could continue to fill in depending on how wide you want this and what you're going to make. You might want to fill in one more row. But I have this piece of pearl and that's going to fit over it quite nicely, so that's what I'm going to do, is just leave it that wide. And now I'm going to pull a piece of or a tissue out, a wipe out, and I'm going to wipe it down a little bit. Do you see how I do that? Very carefully. These wipes have some alcohol in them, so they clean these silicone mats up very nicely. If you're very careful, you don't want to pull, and I've done it, but you don't want to pull the other clay out of where you have placed it, so you have to be a little bit careful. and you don't want to mix the colors if you want them separate. So just be a little cautious about how you do it. There we go. And then I'm just taking the tissue and I'm pushing it in. My finger is warm, and so when I touch the clay, it wants to come back out sometimes. So sometimes if I just use this little wet wipe, I can make sure it's pushed in where I want it. And you can do the same thing. All right. One other thing I wanted to show you, just kind of as a side note, and that is this. I have coconut oil. This, I just opened this because I just went through one over, oh, it's been a couple years actually. But I use this to clean my hands off after I am done claying, or maybe specifically with a red color or a purple color, something really dark, and you want to get it off your hands. If you take a little bit of coconut oil out, and it looks solid, but when you start to touch it, let's see if I can get the top off, you see it kind of starts to form, I don't know, something really soft, almost like Vaseline. But this is really wonderful stuff for cleaning off your hands and leaving them soft and giving them a really nice smell. Of course you want to, I'm going to just spread a little bit on there, but you see how it melts like that? Maybe you can't see it. I'm trying to show it to you. Anyway, it will take colors off for you. And I think it took a little off of that. If you can see it, there's a little sort of a orangey color on there. And then I always keep an old dishcloth on my lap and I wipe my hands off with that. So I just wanted to tell you about that. Maybe you've already heard about that, using coconut oil. Now what we're going to do is we're going to pick up the piece that I already rolled out. And I rolled it out on my thickest setting. It's pretty thick. So I'm just going to go ahead and take it. Let me move some of this other thing out of the way a little bit so you can see it a little bit better. All right. There we go. I'm just going to lay it right on top, and it looks like this isn't going to stretch all the way, but that's all right. That's okay. So what I'm going to do now is actually I'm going to take it and flip it over for this particular one. Sometimes you can just press on that or roll on that piece of clay that I just laid down. But because this has such a bold print to it and wide crevices, I just thought I would turn it over and press it. Oh, you know what I forgot to do though, and I wanted to do this, is to lay a piece of wax paper down so it doesn't stick to my work surface. It's easier to lift the piece up once I have it in place. And so what you're doing here is you're just pressing it into those pieces that you pushed into this form. You are pressing, pressing, pressing to make them stick to your sheet of clay, whatever color you choose, black or pearl like I chose, or white or tan or beige, or whatever color. It could be a dark color for that matter. All right. And then what I do is I begin to look at it and to see if it's starting to come up. Now I'm going to do this just right. I'm just going to be very careful. Yep, can you see that? It has come off. Now I'm going to roll this back. Just push that down a little bit. Roll this back ever so slowly, like this, making sure that this is all going to be revealed, and it's going to be down. It's not going to come back up with my mat. Oh, it looks like we're doing pretty well here. Good. And it does look pretty on the pearl, I think. All right, I saw one that still wasn't sticking, so I rolled it back down, and it stuck. Make sure it sticks. All right. Those center pieces are a little bit smaller, so they're being fuddy-duddy sometimes. Let's see if we can get that in. All right, good. Slowly, roll it slow. Be ready to push it back in if necessary. There we go. Wasn't that pretty? Really, that's pretty easy, isn't it? Now, as you can probably tell, this really is quite raised. If I hold it just right, maybe you can see that it's quite raised up. So what I'm going to do right now, unless you want it that way, this one kind of has a funny shape there, but we'll fix it in just a minute as we go through. And I see that little green came off right there. I'm going to get one of my little ribbon tools, and I'm going to very softly, as softly as I can, pull that off of there. Pull that little green piece and that little green piece off of there. They're just little flecks. Now what we're going to do is take an index card, and I'm going to lay an index card over that. And then I'm going to get my burnisher, and perhaps you remember this from one of my other videos. It's a little steel bar of soap that you take and burnish with. And I don't do it very hard on this, but I want to impress those raised areas down into the clay without distorting them too much. So I'm going to go over it very slowly at first, just kind of ride over it a little bit, slide over it. I can feel all the bumps under it as I do it. And I don't know about these lines here. I know you can buy recipe cards or note cards without lines on it, but when I was at the grocery store picking up groceries earlier, this is what they had, so I bought that. Anyway, I don't want to turn the lines down. Oh, I got 2 cards. I don't want to turn the lines down in case the ink on the line might come off. I don't want that to happen. So let's see. All right, and I'm just going to pick it up and see. Can you see? They're beginning to go down. They're beginning to lie flat, or a little flatter. So I'm going to continue to do that. All right. But now I'm going to give a little bit more pressure. Kind of go in a circle, up and down, very slowly, very carefully. Take a peek, see what we're doing. Good, good, we're getting there. Okay, continue to do that to burnish. This really works well for a burnisher, for this particular Sutton Slice in particular. All right. Let's go back and forth, and as I go back and forth, it's not feeling quite as bumpy as it used to, but it's still somewhat bumpy. Let's see how that turned out. Do you see how that's flattening out? You see the difference there? This is flat, and now this is flattening out, but it's not pushing it into the other clay and mixing it with the other clay. It is pushing it down into the clay and spreading it a little, but we don't want it to mix with the other clay. We just want it to make a good attachment to the clay and not be raised up as much. So I'm going to keep going till I think I'm ready. Peek up. Yep, it's going really well. Now peek up on your end so you can see. I can see over there I need a little bit more. Okay. All right. We're getting there, little by little by little. All right. This up here. And be sure you do check your work as you go. Check your work as you go so you make sure that it's turning out the way you want it to turn out. And as you can see, as I burnish, perhaps you saw these lines on there, but now they are coming out because I'm burnishing and they're going down in, which is great because sometimes you use the area around there to make your whatever you want to make, whether it be a medallion or whatever it is. Today we'll do that. We'll make a medallion. I have been in such a medallion mood, I guess I'll call it, for the last couple months, and I feel myself moving out of that that mood now, and wanting to do other things. Speaking of other things, I'll just show you while I'm doing this. in my other video, the last video, or the time before last, I guess, I had made a seashell, and I had put it just on a chain, but now I've had time to actually go ahead and attach a different kind of thread or string to it, and this is just fun. You know what? When they turn out like that, I am just very tickled with it. And then within there, and you can't see it very well, but I can here, sitting here. But there's a little blue and a little green. So I used some blue, and I used this green, and then a little brown to match with that brown, and then a little blue in my ball here, and my bead. So we're going to do that this coming Friday. We're going to make the shell. If you're interested, you got to watch for that. All right. All right, I'm going to check and see what my burnishing has brought us and if we're ready. Oh yeah, we're ready. And you know what? I'll just come over here and make sure that's flat too, or flatter. I don't know that I'll be using the sides that much, but I'll just flatten it out a little bit. I don't know if you've ever burnished anything, but I've used this and I've used some other things. I got this burnisher, and that's for something else. It's a thicker right here and thinner right here. You can use that for different things as well, but this so far is my favorite. Okay, I'm going to lay my card aside, lay that aside, and now I'm ready to imprint. You do not have to imprint anything, but as you can see on here, I did. It's got a little imprint to it. So I want to show you what that is. That is this piece. Let's see, it was at Michael's. I bought a very large piece of this that you can use for cake making. And then I just cut it from that big piece. And I use it for different things. And that's what I'm going to use right now. I'm going to press this into this pattern that I made. Let's see, where do I want to go with it? I don't know if you can see that. It's got flowers, stems, leaves. So I want to make sure I get some flowers on there for sure. And I think maybe right there. I think I'll do it right there. Now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to push it down. Just push, 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 push. Make sure it's down. And then I'm going to bring my card back, and this time it won't matter if the lines are down because this is in between my clay and my card. So what I'm going to do is burnish it a little bit. Make sure the pattern gets into it. I love texture. Maybe you do too. And so I try to put a little texture on the things that I make. They're simple things generally that I make, but you can make simple things look pretty with a little bit of texture. All right. Okay, now I'm just going to slowly pull it up. Oh, how pretty. Oh, how pretty. That turned out really nicely. I'll hold that up there as well for you to see. And I'm sure if you have other stamps you can use, go ahead and use those. But it gives it a whole different look, doesn't it? A completely different look. Now what I'm going to do is, excuse me, I'm going to take a piece of this plastic wrap, and in another video you probably saw me do this before. These are such a stinker to get off though without having it ball up on you. So I'm going to just pull it off. I think the sharpener or the blade or whatever it is along the side to cut this is dull. So I'm going to lay this over this and spread it out. Make sure that it's not wrinkly and all that. Okay. There, take that, push it, take that and push it. You might have a wrinkle here or there, but you don't want a whole bunch of them, that's for sure. All right, now I'm going to decide where I want to cut on here. And I'm going to get my nylon cutters that are seamless. that I also have shown you in other videos from Fat Daddy-O's. And I'm going to pick, let's see, what size is this one? This one is the 3, yes, the 3-inch one. I'm going to pick the 3-inch one. This side is the side I cut with. This side's sort of a rolled edge, so it won't hurt your hand when you push down on that. And also, if you need to sharpen these, I think I also said that in another video, take a fingernail file and just run it along the edge, or some sandpaper and just run along the edge, and it'll sharpen it for you so it cuts better. And mine are kind of at that point now that I've got to do that, but I haven't yet. All right, I'm going to see where do I want this? Do I want it to show there, or there, or even off to the side there, and leave room to cut another smaller one? I think what I'm going to do today is, I think I'm going to go right in the middle. Yes, I think I'm going to go there and try to center it. That's the other thing, trying to center it, just to kind of be a little careful and look here and there. And then I'm going to just stand up and push down on that, but I'm going to push down on it with my acrylic block that I've got. So push it down, push it down, push it down, push it down, push it down. All right. And if you can, twist it. So you make sure that you've made the cut. And sometimes even if you do that, it doesn't cut because of this. And I see that it didn't go all the way through, so now I still get a good beveled edge because I put that piece of plastic on there. So now I'm going to take it and cut it again. And while that's laying there, maybe I won't do it that way. I think what I'll do is this. I'm going to get another card, first of all, to get ready for it to bake, and get my tile out as well, because I bake on an index card on a little tile. If I baked right on this tile, then the back of my piece would be shiny, and I don't want it to be shiny. But I'm going to tell you a little secret here. Generally, I put another sheet of the background clay under here, and I will have already textured it, but today I didn't do that just for time purposes. But when we are off camera, or I'm off camera, I am going to make another piece, and I'm going to texture it, and I'm going to put it on the back of this piece. So let me just pull it off of here for you. Okay, so there's the piece. You can have it this way, whatever you choose. I sometimes will put my hole in my medallion at this point. But sometimes I look at it, I think, I don't know where I want my hole yet. And so then I bake it first, and I drill a hole later. Oh, I see I have a little fuzzy right there. I'm going to have to get that off. So, and a little bit of a crack right there. You can kind of smooth things out, too, with your finger. So that's what that is. Now, off camera, I'm going to, like I said, I'm going to take another piece of this pearl, and I'm going to cut it with this. But first I will run a texture on the back of it and put my initial stamp. I've got an initial stamp here. I'll put that on it as well. And then I will also take my, grab that, my Genesis cream. This cream, I wouldn't do without this cream. It's just wonderful. This looks similar to the coconut oil, but it's not coconut oil. You put it on the back of this, and it will stick to your next sheet of clay that you put on the back. And I like to make a nice back simply because it makes a nice presentation. I think the back should look as nice as the front, and I've said that before too. I probably repeat myself a lot, but you know what? That's all right. We need to repeat ourselves or we forget. So that is my presentation for today. I won't bake this until I make another sheet to put on the back of it. And then I get to figure out what I want to do and how I'm going to string it, what beads to use. And actually, you know what you could do? You could take the leftover clay and bunch it up very carefully, and you could roll it, and you could, I'll show you something up here. I've got it. You can make beads, round beads, square beads, whatever kind of beads you want, out of the clay that's left over. Now this is the clay I had left over from this, and I'm going to make some beads out of this. So when I string this on my necklace, then I'm going to add some of those beads, as well as other beads. But I think it's always nice to have a little bit of a same color on your bead as you have in your cabochon or your medallion. So that's what I might do with that. I have to think about it a minute. All right, well, Dee, you asked me to do this tutorial, and I did it. I hope it was helpful. If you liked the video, I would really appreciate it that you would do a thumbs up down below. And if you want to join and subscribe to my channel, that would be great. I'd love to have you. I think that's all I wanted to say for today. Oh, I was going to show you one more thing. This is kind of an odd duck, but I made this little bench. Can you see that? It's like a little park bench, and it was actually, I bought it at Michael's. It was wood, and I covered it in clay, and the clay had a texture on it, and then I put Pearl-Ex powders on it, so it made it shiny, and then I sprayed it to seal it, because every time you use Pearl-Ex you want to seal it, otherwise it might rub off. And I had in mind to do a couple of different things with this, so when I get that far, I'll share it with you, so you know what I'm doing. But it's just a covered wooden bench. It's just covered. I have covered other things too that are wood, and you can do that with polymer clay, which isn't that just great? I just love claying. You can do most anything. All right, everyone, I just thank you for tuning in for the second time today, and God bless you all, and have a great rest of the week, and I'll see you Friday. Bye-bye.